We wait for more details from the White House, from the United States, on something that we had expected at around 2 p.m. Eastern. We're now 2 hours from then, but as we know, things are highly unpredictable within this White House. And the president has spent most of the day at Mar-a-Lago at his golf course, and then, as Katie Simpson told us earlier, he's on his way to another golf course now. So this action has been taken. He has signed off on it. It's really a matter of when it gets posted so that we can give you more details about what it says, how it is being explained, and the legal mechanism that he is using to do this dramatic, potentially devastating move for this country, and I think it's fair to say for the relationship between this country and the United States, a free trade agreement that has been in place since the 80s and has expanded and developed and gotten more complex, but that most people believed was beneficial for both sides, for all three nations on this continent. I'm going to bring in Goldy Hyder now. He is the president and CEO of the Business Council of Canada and joins us from Ottawa. Goldy, thank you for jumping on. Tell me what you're thinking, where your head is at, knowing that this is happening and that it's happening as of Tuesday.
Well, it feels as if the president is playing chicken with the economy of North America. But it's not a game for Rosie. It's not a game for those consumers in America. They're going to be hit with these tariffs and having to pay more at a time in which they were promised better affordability. They're actually going to be punished with what amounts to a tax. It is let's call it a consumption tax for Americans of 25%. The unfortunate part of this, of course, is workers will also suffer. I agree with everything David just said about what the possibilities could be in terms of various sectors and the impacts that could have on jobs, not just in the United States, but also here in Canada. They clearly have an economy that's doing much better than ours. The president may be feeling that he can ride this out for a period of time. We're much more vulnerable. I mean, the job losses here could be quite serious. And, we're not in a financial and fiscal position to be able to be responding and doing this for the long haul. So we're going to need to figure out in a very disciplined and responsible way, what is the most effective way to respond? How is it that we can avoid getting into a long, drawn-out tariff war, which, as David rightly notes, when you're a G7 economy, really a G10 economy, and you're up against a G1, it'll be hard to come out of that unscathed. So clearly that's something that needs to be avoided. We do need to figure out, what does he want? That seems to be a moving target all the time. Today we're hearing it's about reducing the number of deaths caused by fentanyl in America. And until then, these tariffs will remain. That is an absurd thing to connect Canada to. And so how are we going to come out of it if that's the measurement?
So what do you think is the appropriate response then? I mean, obviously everyone believes that some sort of counter tariff is needed, but given that he is also now promising escalation of the tariff, this is a very fine line in terms of what the government response has to be, to not force escalation or cause escalation, and also to not force too much damage inside the economy with a counter tariff.
Yeah, look, I wouldn't want to be the government today. This is a very difficult day because it's going to make for some very difficult choices. I do believe in the short run, there may be some sense of confidence and rightfully so, some national pride and some bravado to say, we're not just going to take this. We are going to do something about it. We're going to do what we can, and we're going to hit back, and we're going to fight back. And that's probably the right thing to do. The question, as you said, is how do you do it by minimizing the harm on Canadians? And so you have to have some principles around this. Ideally, it would be do no harm. That's not possible. There's going to be harm. Then it's how do you minimize that harm? It comes to what do we need that we have already that we can make ourselves? What can we source from other places? Maybe we're not drinking orange juice as much, and we might have to have some apple juice, but we have to start thinking about supply chains, because at the very macro level here, Rosie, and I know that there's a lot to discuss here, I think America's fundamentally changing, and its relationships with other countries is fundamentally changing, and what was probably will be no more. This effectively puts a nail in the coffin of the USMCA because it violates the USMCA. Yeah. And it's unfortunate that it's come to this because it's his agreement and it's been working so well that the other administration kept it. We should be looking at ways to improve it. And we still need to make the case about why a strong North America is in America's interests.
And Goldy Hyder, tell me whether you think Canada can make up the difference? I know that's kind of a crazy question, but could we find other places to sell our products? Could we find other places to get the inputs for what we need? Or are we so deeply entangled with the United States that there is no going forward without them?
Well, in the short run, it's going to be very difficult. And this is why we also feel that this is a wake-up call for Canada and for Canadians to get serious about where we find ourselves today, recognizing that, as I said, what was probably is no more. What are we going to do when you sell 60% of your crude to the Americans because they have the refineries to refine it? What are you going to do when the auto industry is so integrated to the way in the level that it is? What are you going to do when you're so reliant on food to come in? Now, we have some strengths of our own to play. We do have a lot of natural resources, but we still get in our own way when it comes to permitting, being able to access those critical minerals, expanding our ports, expanding our rail, expanding our airports, our bridges, our highways. These are things that Canadians need to do. And let us not forget those beloved interprovincial trade barriers. If we're going to be taking this moment as seriously as I think we should be, those things should be down now. Like yesterday, they should be down. And there's nothing standing in the way of that happening except politics and math. And now the math of Canada needs to supersede the math of individual provinces and their respective finances. So this is a moment in which we're going to have to adjust. We can't just believe that we're going to get this resolved on one hand. We also have to look at ourselves in the mirror and get serious about what we want to be as we pivot to a new world.
Okay, Goldy Hyder, thank you for jumping on this important day when we all try to figure out what's next and how this is going to affect everyone. Appreciate your time.
Great. Thanks for having me.